details. 925thebeat.com.
92.5 The Beat of Salt Lake is Dre Rocker checking in with you on this Tuesday evening. You know what time it is. It's the Rawk The Mic segment, a segment where we get to learn about our community members, musicians, and so much more. Today I got a very special guest up here, Dialect.
Yeah, let's go.
Now, when we were emailing back and forth, I said, hey, you need to send me a single. I want to hear some music from you. And you sent me a song I could not pronounce. So I'm going to attempt it right now, all right? Kundalini.
There you go.
Kundalini Awakening.
You got it.
Now, what is a Kundalini Awakening?
Yeah, absolutely. So a Kundalini Awakening, that's something that comes from the Hindu Eastern philosophy of it's essentially it represents a spiritual awakening, right? And Kundalini is represented by the energy coming up from the spine, rising up through your chakras, up through your energy centers, and it's represented by two snakes that are kind of like winding up the spine. So that's what Kundalini means, what it represents. I actually, by the way, just dropped a music video for this single a couple months ago. I got 3 snakes in the video, got like a 7-foot boa that I'm wearing.
What?
And shit, yeah.
So when did you decide to go this holistic route of living? Were you born into this type of life?
Yeah, man, I was. I actually essentially like my parents were the granola crunchiest hippies you could find in Oregon. I grew up in Ashland, Oregon, just right on the border of California.
Every year we had to take a field trip there.
You've been to Ashland?
So I lived in Portland for 10 years.
Lit.
And so we would always go to Ashland and we would read poetry.
Yeah.
And we would do the Shakespeare festival up there.
Yes, that's what
I'm very familiar with that area.
Yes, dude. So that's where I grew up until I was like 11. And yeah, they're so famous for the Shakespearean festival for sure. So I grew up there till I was 11. When I was about 4 years old, again, my parents had been into like Eastern philosophy and all that, forever. But when I was about 4 years old, they found their guru and, their spiritual teacher. Her name is Amma or Amachi. Or Mata Amritarandamai, lots of names. But essentially, she's the embodiment of like the Divine Mother. And so she's a Hindu guru and humanitarian. She's built universities and hospitals and housing all over India, helped recover from the tsunami they had way back. And so, yeah, she's done a lot of humanitarian work, been part of the Global Peace Summits and all that good stuff. So, yeah, I was essentially raised with her since I was 4 years old. She has a big ashram in the Bay Area in San Ramon, up in the hills there. And so, like, every 6 months we would go and visit her there. When I was about 10 years old, I went and lived in India at her ashram with my father. We actually went on the North Indian tour, so in these like rickety old tour buses and traveled all over northern India. I got to like swim in the Ganges River with her. She's all dunking me in the water.
Oh man!
and then I went with her on the tour to Singapore and to Australia. And so that was kind of like the 6 months that I spent there with her. And then, yeah, ever since, just like every 6 months, we go and visit her, and she's kind of my spiritual mother, if you will.
Now, I'm going to sound really ignorant and naive, but when you talk about India, I instantly think about cobras. Isn't that where they have the cobras? Isn't that a big thing?
Playing the snake charmers. Yeah, the snake charmers.
You ever see that?
I have seen them do that, yeah, and like the bazaars and the the markets they have. That's definitely very popular for sure.
Now, boas, they're not venomous.
Poisonous, yeah.
So I would say you're a little scared. So why didn't you have a cobra in the video?
Right? Yeah, no, I just got hooked up. Burnell connected me with one of our homies, and we got a snake lady. So we got the snake lady to come in. She has these beautiful snakes. Shout out Carrie Newman. Thank you for providing the snake medicine. I had like a 7-foot boa that I was wearing, and then we had a smaller boa, and then like a ball python. And so at one point I'm like laying down on a lounge chair, and I got like all 3 of them on top of me.
No way.
It's so fun, dude. I love snakes. I love that energy, and they're just so kind and gentle,
Well, the snakes do get a bad rap.
Oh yeah,
I think it was the Jungle Book. I think Jungle Book ruined snakes.
Anaconda, obviously.
Yeah, of course.
Cube.
Have you seen that movie lately?
Of course. Oh, lately. It's been a minute, but I've definitely seen it.
Oh, it's awful. No, Cube, I love you. You're my man. You're like an uncle to me. But the movie was awful.
Yeah, as far as if you put it, like you rank Ice Cube's movies, it's definitely down in that bottom tier.
I didn't go that far, Cube. I hope you're not looking for a Cube feature anytime soon.
I love you, Cube. And all respect, all respect.
It's 92.5 The Beat of Salt Lake, Dre Rocker. The Rawk The Mic segment, I got Dialect up here. We're going to be premiering his new single. I'm going to mess it up again. Hold on. Kundalini.
There you go.
Kundalini Awakening. We're going to be playing it here shortly. But in that song, you said, and I quote, "When I finally started to wake up out of the dream, things was not always as they seemed.
Were not as they seemed, yeah.
I was no longer a fiend." Now, what does that mean?
Well, to me,
See how I rhymed it?
I would. Oh, yeah. Okay, I got you. I see you. No, so essentially, to me, what that mean, like prior, like most of my life, I spent numbing. Like I got into drugs and alcohol really young at like 12, 13. You know, just trying to be accepted. And because, again, I came from Oregon, this hippie little kid, fitting into this Mormon culture was not easy. And I was vilified and bullied and all that stuff. So, finally, when I found a person that accepted me, they just happened to smoke weed. And I'm like, all right, let's do this, And then, it just escalates from there. And I ended up getting, overdosing on opiates and other pills and alcohol when I was like just turned 18 years old, caught some felony charges and went through felony drug court for a couple years. I had my son, which also helped save me. So the overdose and my son being born is really what saved me and allowed me to work through that program, get all my charges expunged, and kind of have a fresh start. But it's still, I was still numbing with alcohol and cannabis and things like that. And so for me, when I finally kind of woke up to my purpose and who I truly am and started doing the more intentional work, I was able to more easily let go of those substances because I realized that all of these drugs and alcohol, all I was trying to do was feel something. And I was just trying to feel the love that already existed within me that was just covered up by all the stories and all the BS, So for me, when I had that awakening, I had no desire for these substances anymore. And whether it's drugs or it's sugar or it's screens or TV or whatever it is, I think we as a society as a whole are always numbing, on some level. It's trying to escape, right? And so that, again, that line was basically me saying, as I started to wake up from the dream, I realized I don't have to numb anymore because I have everything I need right here.
I instantly go to the way that you were brought up. Obviously, you weren't brought up to cope with drugs and alcohol is what I'm assuming. I mean, being real holistic with your parents and with I'm going to say shaman. I don't know if that's the right term. But
guru is the technique. Yeah.
So, where was your belief or your faith? Was it just not strong during that time? Did you weed away from it?
Not necessarily. I mean, again, growing up as a child, I wasn't doing the work, the spiritual practices and work. I was just surrounded by it and just absorbing that energy. Because Amma would always say, like, her religion is love. You know what I'm saying? Like, there is no dogma, there's no judgment, there's none of that usually gets tied into traditional religions. And so I was just surrounded by just nothing but unconditional love. But that doesn't mean at 12 years old I still don't want to be accepted and for who I am and have a community of friends, you know what I mean? And that was the way I found it, was through the drugs and alcohol.
Finding your community here in Utah, though, how was that? What brought you to Utah?
Great question. So my oldest sister, I'm the youngest of four. I have three older sisters. My oldest sister, she went to school in Hawaii, met her husband, future husband there, who was LDS. And so she married him, converted to LDS, and they moved to Zion. You know what I'm saying? Came to Salt Lake. And then my mom, they had a child. My mom, not wanting to be away from her oldest daughter and her new grandchild, decided to bring me and the rest of us kids along to move here. And that was when I was like 11.
So you've been here for a while.
Oh yeah. So ever since the second half of my childhood, yeah, for sure. And this is home to me for sure. And Oregon, Ashland is also home to me. I've actually already connected with an MC out there called the Inspirational Rapper. He's already putting me on his conscious hip hop night that they do in Ashland. So I'm excited for that. I've already mapped out dozens of spots for a West Coast tour. So that's coming up for sure in the next 6 months.
It's a pretty long name though. Inspirational Rapper.
He's
gonna take up the whole flyer.
For real, the Inspirational Rapper.
Come on, can we just shorten Inspo?
Inspo.
You MC Inspo.
I might have to give him that. I'm going to give him that nugget.
So
straight from Dre Rocka himself.
I got you. So you get here, you're 11 years old. At what point do you find hip hop? Did you find hip hop in Ashland?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like one of the first albums I ever heard. I mean, that really it's not necessarily hip hop, but was like Sublime's album. You know what I mean? And that ska, dub, reggae kind of vibes. And so I always loved that. And then I dove, deeper into the hip hop. For me, I mean, as an artist, or as a kid growing up, my favorite rapper was Atmosphere. And Atmosphere has always been, rhyme sayers in general, entertainment has always been a go-to for me. And I mean, Slug's name is Sean, which is my name. So obviously I connected with him in that way. And he's always just, because for me, like when it comes to hip hop, like if you're not putting something in your content that means something, that can touch people and can move and inspire and help grow and heal, then what the hell are you doing? Is my point. Like, there's a lot of music out there these days, and a lot of it, in my opinion, is not garbage, but it's not doing anything but turning up, which can be fun, and I love that vibe sometimes. You know what I mean? I love to turn up too and get rowdy in the club, but for me, if I'm making music, it's gonna mean something.
Do you have rocks in your pocket right now?
What does that mean?
Some type of crystal or something? I don't know. I feel like you'd have
it's in my other pocket.
I feel like you'd have like blue rocks or like, what's the mineral? Some type of mineral.
There we go. Yep, selenite.
Yeah, see, I knew it. I called it.
Got some selenite for you right here. This is a cleansing, clearing crystal. I'm glad this is the crystal you pulled out. You know why? Because the music video that I shot, right, there's this little crystal shop in Sandy called Synchronicities. And this is where I shot the music video. And they have a room that they built a cave of selenite, 3,000 pounds of this stuff, lining the walls with LED light strips behind it. And you get like light therapy that comes through the selenite, which has that clearing, cleansing energy. And so that people literally pay just to go lay in this room, listen to music, and get that light therapy through the selenite. But I created a relationship with the owners there, and they allowed me to use that space to film the music video. And yeah, it's a vibe. So definitely run it up on YouTube.
That's dope, man. I've always been fascinated with the rocks, the geo crystals, because we're in Utah, right? So there's a lot of that stuff out here that you can go and dig for.
Well, and there is this one, too. I always am wearing that guy. That's a Labradorite wrap made by the one and only Hooley David, Telos Wire Art. Hit them up for show. So at all the vendors and all the fairs.
What's that mean?
The Labradorite?
Yeah.
So this is really good for, like, creativity. Trev, you got anything else on labs? Throat chakra. Yeah, throat chakra. Yeah, because it's blue. So, and that's why my favorite color's always been blue, always. And I never really understood why. And then very recently I was like, because blue is the color of the throat chakra. This is my musical instrument. You know what I'm saying? And so that's, I think that's why I've always resonated with the color blue.
Dre Rocka, 92.5 The Beat of Salt Lake. I got Ideal Dialect up here. We're going to be playing his new single, Kundalini. Awakening. I'm getting it. By the end of this interview, I'm going to have it.
Problem.
Now, coming to Utah, you've been here. At what point did you find a tribe to make music with?
I love that you asked that question. So how I became a rapper is as a teenager around 16, 17, me and my best homies, these two black homies that I made in Cottonwood Heights when I moved from like Draper up to Cottonwood Heights, we became like best friends, and we would just smoke blunts in my garage for hours, and they would just cipher and freestyle back and forth for hours on end, and I always had that limiting belief that, I can't do that shit. Yeah. I can't do that. And then, and then finally they broke me out of my shell, and I was like, all right, maybe I'll try it. And then from there I got more into the writing, and that's definitely where the majority of my craft had been focused. So I was writing rhymes and messing around with them and stuff, but never got to the point of like, I'm going to record something. And then one of these brothers, it was Tiki Main, shout out Tiki Main, my brother for life. And his brother Morgan, MOE, at the time they were part of a group called the Dirty Dope Boys, the DDB, Dirty Dope Boys. And so
that's where you got the drugs?
No, that was just the name. That was just their name. But yeah, at the time, I mean, all of us had gotten into hard drugs at that point when we were around like 18, 19. And Morgan, Tiki's brother, ended up in jail, in and out and stuff. And he ended up getting pneumonia. And I believe that he was neglected by the correctional officers while he was in there, and he ended up having a heart attack due to a unknown birth defect in his heart, and he passed away in jail at 21. And so as soon as he passed away and he died, we all got together at Tiki's house. We found an instrumental. We wrote a hook together. Each wrote a verse. Found this like younger 15-year-old girl that was like a friend's sister to sing the hook. And then we got in the studio, recorded the song, and then we went and performed it at his burial. And we did all of that within 3 days of him dying to us performing the song at his burial. And that song is called Angels. And that's on SoundCloud. If you look Ideal Dialect, one word, on SoundCloud, you can find that song. So that's the first song I ever recorded, and that was about 2011. And again, I think for most artists, our biggest traumas and our biggest losses and tragedies are what light the biggest fire to create the dopest art.
I agree.
But from there, I met Burnell Washburn. I saw him at like a show or something, and we connected. So it was about 2011 that we met, and I recorded my first ever solo song track with him. And that was like 12 years ago, and we've been riding ever since. I mean, Burnell is a pillar and a figurehead and a leader in this hip hop community. He created Hip Hop Roots years ago, and gave a platform to up and coming artists. There's the Wasatch Renaissance Collective, and then now over the last 5 years, Trev, Burnell, many other creators and artists in the community, especially in the spiritual conscious community, which is very thriving here because of if the initial oppressive culture is really strong, so is the opposite counterculture. So we formed a collective called the Quantum Visionaries, and this is actually Burnell's company, the Quantum Visionaries. And every 3-4 months we go up into the mountains with a group of like 30 to 40 people, and we do the work. You know what I'm saying? We do breath work and meditation and qigong and yoga and cold plunging and quantum journaling and scripting and conscious communication workshops and individual connection and growth. And we do work with plant medicines. But what I was saying before, like we choose to transmute how we view these substances instead of calling them drugs and treating them as drugs that we just use to get messed up on. We choose to use things like, cannabis and hape, which is a ceremonial tobacco snuff. That's what this little thing is for.
Isn't that what you snort up your nose?
Mm-hmm. But you don't snort it. You actually blow it up your nostril. You don't snort it. But anyway, so so hape, the cannabis, cacao, as we were talking about, which is just the most raw form of chocolate. And psilocybin, mushrooms, like psychedelic medicine for mental health is the revolution, and it's happening right now, and a lot of people are recognizing it. So we go up in the mountains and we do the work, and we use these plant medicines, and we do these work, and then before we even start and go up there, we set an intention. Like, what am I going to leave behind? What's no longer serving me, and how am I not achieving my purpose? And then what am I going to bring in? What do I want to call in, and what do I want to step into to further realize my higher purpose? And then once you do all that work and you hold that intention throughout that event, come the end of the event, then comes the real work, which is the integrating back into the actual daily lives that we live. And that means doing the discipline and getting disciplined with your work and, staying true to your vision and your purpose.
It's powerful words from Ideal Dialect. It's Dre Rocka, 92.5 The Beat of Salt Lake. We're going to be getting to his new single, Kundalini. Awakened. We're going to be playing that here shortly. Now, what does your family think about all this? What is your mom? What is your brother or your sister? What do you think about you as an artist, this path of life that you're living?
It's a great question. Well, I'm glad you mentioned my mom and my sister, because one of the biggest things that has helped me grow as a person, as an artist, as a man, is the loss and the tragedy and the grief that I've experienced in my life. Because I lost my sister to suicide in 2008. I lost my mom to a suicide/accidental overdose in 2015. I lost one of my best friends, oldest best friends that I grew up with Amma in that, spiritual guru community, and lived in India with this kid when we were like 10 years old. Shortly after my mom, he ended up jumping off the Golden Gate. And yeah, I mean, there's countless close friends and family that I've lost to suicide or overdose. And so through all of that grief and struggle is where I've been able to create the most growth and purpose, because it's not about what happens to you, it's about what you choose to do with it. You know what I'm saying? Two people can go through the exact same experience, exact same trauma, and they can have two very different outcomes, because it's about what you choose to do with that trauma and with that pain and suffering, and you can transmute it and turn it into power. You know what I'm saying? But you have to make that choice.
When did you make that choice?
I mean, it's an ebb and flow. You know what I mean? Like I grieved and suffered and was angry and all that for a very long time, and then just over time you can slowly transmute it, I guess, and choose to let it be your power instead of your, what holds you back.
When did you meet your wife?
So we met, she was actually in the studio for that first single I performed with Brunel like 12 years ago. So yeah, we met about 12, 13 years ago.
How'd you pop the question?
We went up to the Red Ledges up in Heber, and we went horseback riding on the Red Ledges and got up to the very top, and they put a little bottle of champagne out with the ring. I got down while she's on the horse too. Princess Disney crap.
So she's on the horse and you get down on one knee?
Yeah.
What if that horse kicked you in the face, yo? Like, the first thing I think about, that horse will kick you in the face.
Without great risk, doesn't come the great reward. You know what I'm saying?
So you've been married for 12 years now?
No, that's when we first met and started dating. We've been married since 2016, 7 years.
Nice.
Yeah.
What does it mean to be a father?
That is a tough one for me, man. My son's 12 years old right now. And that's one of the most challenging things in the world, and the most rewarding is being a parent. You know what I'm saying? But it's been hard because so we went on that quantum vision workshop, all of us, back in May. And that's one of the biggest shifts that I've had in my life, that I really stepped into my purpose, truly left behind all the things that weren't serving, and just lived my purpose and only said yes to full body yeses every day. You know what I mean? But by doing that, my son and I, we bonded, as he was growing up, watching screens, numbing with TV and video games and that kind of thing. So that's kind of the bond that we created in the relationship that we had. So once I stopped numbing myself, I don't want to waste my time watching a screen. I'd rather go out and build something, and so I'm really trying to just be super present with my son and do the things that he likes, so we can kind of rebuild that bond and that relationship. But it's just, and of course for everybody, just like it was for me, 12, 13 years old, that's when you're trying to find out who you are, where you belong, where your tribe is, all of that. So I'm just trying to make this transition for him as easy as possible, but it's hard to do when I'm now living my full purpose and he wants nothing to do with it. So I just gotta create that safe space for him to be able to learn who he is, and if he falls, I pick him back up, and if he's willing to take help, I can offer it and give it to him. But it's a fine line, man.
Yeah, man. I have 3 of them, and
you feel it.
When I'm listening to your story, I think it would be very hard to have a calling that you're jumping full-fledged in, and also having other people in your life, like your wife, like your son, like your friends, right? But it sounds like everybody's kind of on the same page. Yeah.
Yeah. And really, one of the things I've been really trying to find is balance and harmony. You know what I mean? Because I did dive in full force, and that mean everything else kind of took a back seat at that point. So just being able to reconnect with, the relationship with my family in a new way has been really powerful for sure.
So what's Ideal Dialect's guilty pleasure?
Guilty pleasure.
Are you watching the Real Housewives?
Real quick, can I actually, I want to ask you a question.
Oh, wow. All right.
We're going to flip the script.
Shoot.
We're going to flip the script. Do you get the double entendre in my name?
No.
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 So it's ideal dialect. A synonym for that could be perfect language or conscious communication, right? But secondarily, ideal dialect. You know what I'm saying? I'm distributing my conscious communication through the science of the spoken word. So that's where the name came from. But guilty pleasure, I I don't know, man. Lately, since I dropped all of these, I dropped all my guilty pleasures. You know what I mean? So that's a hard one to say.
You don't slip up and like go through TikTok.
Oh no, for sure. I will say like learning to find a balance with social media, because I've been blowing up on socials. I finally started using my Instagram like 2 months ago, and I've gone from like 200 followers to like 1,200 organically almost in the past 2 months, just because I'm constantly lifting up other artists, promoting their work. Because I've found the more you lift up other artists and you give them a platform and a voice and you recognize them for the art they're creating, that just comes back to you tenfold every single time. Every single time. Like, we're not in competition.
Yeah.
You know, we're all working towards the same goal as artists. We're all trying to, you know, have our art be seen and heard. So even if I don't like love the content of another rapper's song, I'm going to support him, because I love seeing artists, you know, live their truth, whether it's mine or not.
I feel it. So I hear you just got back from out of town. What was you doing? I know you had a show. What was that?
Oh, dude, it was the dopest conscious festival that has ever existed. But real quick, I mean, can I kind of talk about what I've done in the past 4 months?
Absolutely.
Since that last camp out. So we went on that camp out in May. Since then, I've performed at 4 out-of-state festivals. I performed at these one-wheel music festivals. So a lot of people don't even know those are a thing.
When you say one wheel, I think about the Warriors in Coney Island, the one wheel in Coney Island. It's just a.
I guess I don't know what that is.
It's a what's that thing called? Not a what's it called? You know, an amusement park.
A Ferris wheel.
Yeah, it's that.
It's called. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, it's called the Wonder Wheel.
Oh,
yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
I did not know that. So a one wheel is an electric skateboard. I'm sure you've seen them.
Oh, I have seen
that
them.
have the big wheel in the middle, and you ride it like a board.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is the fastest growing board sport in the world right now. And so I'm deeply involved in this community, and they have like 7, 8 big events that are like racing events. We race down mountains on mountain bikes, single track trails on one wheels, and do like competitive time trial races during the day, and then turn it up with the festy vibes at night. You know, so I performed at the Seek and Shred Fest festival, which is near Lake Tahoe in California back in June. Then I did one in Oregon, same again, a one-wheel festival in Oregon just near Eugene called the Northwest Electric Fest. I performed and raced at both of those, and then took 6 in my division. Actually, I got in all the way into the finals for the Clydesdales. The big boys, you know what I'm saying?
What's that, like a weight restriction?
Yeah, weight class. Yeah, exactly. The Clydesdales. And then I did. We got another local hip hop homie out in Wyoming in Rock Springs called Sub Rock Records, Gentry Fox. He put on a 10-year anniversary for his record label out in Rock Springs. Went and performed at that in Wyoming. And then now I just got back from Unison Festival. But throwing in there, I performed at the Urban Arts Fest, the Utah Arts Fest, Element 11, which is like the local sanctioned Burning Man for Utah that happens out in the West Desert, out past the lake. That was crazy wild lit. And then now I just got back from Unison. But the Urban Arts Fest, dude, that was a total vibe. It was hilarious because I've performed at the Urban Arts Fest on and off for like 4 or 5 years now. And so they definitely know me. I've had a presence there, but I totally missed the deadline, right, to get into the fest. So what ended up happening, Trev, he was booked on the KUAA stage, and then my other homie Tiki Mane was booked on the KUAA stage. And then there's this little traveling stage called the Busking Bus, which is literally a little short bus that's been outfitted into a mobile stage that can just pop up anywhere and busk. Wow. And so I made a relationship with them, and they booked me. So I was just booked to perform on that busking bus because they already had a contract. And then Trev and my homie Trev and Tiki Mane invite me to do a couple songs on their sets, because Tiki Mane and I have multiple collabs, and Trev just loves my song Kundalini Awakening, so he had me do that on his set. And then I'm literally walking past the main stage, just walking by, and I see one of my homies that was at the Take the Lake competition, which I'll talk about in a sec. That's another one that we did recently. But I'm just walking by. I was like, "Yo, what up?" And he's like, "Bro, this freaking artist just no-showed, dude. Like, he just bailed. Like, he was supposed to go on right now." I was like, "Wait, what?" I was like, "Hey, if you need me to fill space, I can do that. Like, I'm ready. Let's go. Put me in, coach." And so, he's like, all right, well, there's the sound guy. I go and talk to the sound guy, who then brings in the stage manager. I tell her I'm happy to help out. She immediately recognizes my name because I have, contributed in the years past. And they're like, yeah, sure. So they throw me on to do a 20-minute set instead of the 30 minutes, by the time we got up there. And I ended up opening on the main stage for the homie Zach Ivy.
That's
so,
awesome.
Yeah, that was super lit. So I ended up, I was the only artist actually that performed on all 3 stages at the venue, and I wasn't even booked for it.
Just be around. I always tell people, just be around.
Yep, be around, support other artists, network, connect. And when it comes to networking and connection, like, you never want to approach a new relationship with what can they give you. You always want to approach it with how can I serve you? You know what I mean? What can I do for you? How can I lift you up? Because that will always be reciprocated. And if it's not, then it's not a loss. You know what I mean? But yeah, so that's kind of where we're at. But the Take the Lake thing, yeah, so that was lit. That was put on by DJ Lamb and the homie and DJ Infrared out in LA. And so they were the ones that hosted it. It was a big competition with over 40 artists, mostly rappers. And we did it at, shout out Utah Creative Chamber. If y'all don't know about the Utah Creative Chamber, you gotta tap in. It is an artist's paradise. I'm a member there, or I will be very shortly, a founding member. And they have a recording studio. They have workspace. They have a little clubhouse with a game room. They have art studios. They have marketing resources. Literally anything any kind of artist could ever need, you can get from this hub. And it's just a vibe. They do jam sessions there all the time, and it's awesome. So hit up Utah Creative Chamber.
You just pay like a fee?
Monthly fee. Yeah, literally you pay a monthly fee. You get 50% off of recording time. And so much other value. So yeah, hit up Utah Creative Chamber on Instagram. CJ Drisdom is the homie holding it down, creating that space, holding that space for artists. So that's where Take the Lake was. Also, shout out Display Entertainment and Respect the Arts. They're the promoters that put on that show. And I worked heavily with them and heavily promoted that event. And it was dope. The guy from Display Entertainment, he was like, bro, even if you don't win, you won best marketer and promoter of this event because I was putting in the work and consistently putting out the content to help drive traffic.
So what was this competition? What were you guys competing for?
Great question. So that's got a little wonky at the end there. Originally, it was going to be to open for Ludacris when he just came.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And
at Granary Live. Yeah,
yep.
yeah.
And then interview and radio play on U92 and LA Dash out in LA, and then a station out in New York. And then just getting that radio play and having, the marketing and the promotion. Unfortunately, there was some miscommunication around the whole Ludacris thing, so that did fell through. Shout out Lady Infinity.
Bummer.
Yeah, they definitely got a lot of hate for that, but stuff happens. But shout out Lady Infinity. She's the one who took first place. She absolutely deserves it. Put in so much work, and she marketed the crap out of it too, and it paid off. Shout out Doomy. Freaking goddess with a voice of silk for real.
Oh yeah. She's incredible.
Oh yeah, Doomy's the homie. And then I took third. So out of 40 artists that performed that day, we were the cream of the crop.
That's
it was
awesome.
dope because when Infrared was there before he flew back to LA, none of us even knew this, even the promoters. But he's like, it was just going to be first, but top 3 artists that do this are going to get an interview with me. And so I did that recently, and just waiting for the footage to get back on that. Hopefully that'll show up on Shade 45. We'll see.
That's awesome.
But yeah, it was lit. And then that's why I'm here, obviously, is because I took third, and your sales manager reached out and thought it would be a good idea to bring me on. So
yeah, man.
I hope you're not regretting it.
No, man. I love your energy. I love where you're at. I think you have a really cool story. I know I am limited on time, but I would love to maybe have you on my podcast and we can get a little bit more, have a little bit more fun.
I'd love that.
You gave me a lot of work with some of those S words that you threw around, so I gotta chop it up.
Chop it up.
But what I want to do now is I want to jump into a segment called This or That. It's our opportunity to get to know you a little bit better. Okay, so you got to pick one. There's no picking both. There's no working things out. One or the other. Okay?
Real quick, right? Just off the top.
Exactly. Steven Seagal or Jean-Claude Van Damme?
Van Damme.
All right. Halloween or Christmas?
Christmas.
Barbecue or fry sauce?
Fry sauce.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Record with yourself or record with friends?
Ooh, record with friends.
A year in prison or a year in a sewer for $10 million?
What? Oh, yeah, I'll do the sewer. I've already done the jail. Let's experience something new.
I wrote these out way before I knew he was in jail. Jay-Z or Nas?
Ooh, Nas.
Okay.
Yeah.
Boys in the Hood or Menace to Society?
That's hard. Boys in the Hood. Yeah.
Fashion Place or Valley Fair?
Fashion Place. For sure.
When's the last time you've been to Valley Fair?
They've done a lot of work. They've done a lot of work for sure. I don't know, a few months ago.
That's beautiful.
6-7 months ago.
Oh yeah, it's not the old Valley Fair.
They have done a lot of facelifts on that place.
Stand-up comedy or a magic show?
Stand up.
Are you into comedy?
Oh yeah, I've gone to so many shows last year. It was awesome.
Have you ever tried to go to a mic?
To do like an open mic,
Yeah.
like do stand up. I haven't. I've been told I'm funny, but I haven't given that one a shot. But thank you for inspiring me because I just might now.
I think you got a story, and I'm sure there's some funny things that have happened in that tragedy.
Oh yeah,
You know what I mean?
Always.
And you look at your best comics, and they have some really serious stories, but they tell it in a funny way.
Well, and that's how we get through the tragedies. We laugh at it. You know what I'm saying? Like if you can find a way to laugh at the worst things that happen to you in life, you're gonna be happier, and that's just facts.
Absolutely. All right, Ideal Dialect, this is the time. I want you to hit your socials, any upcoming shows, and then I want you to introduce your song because I can't say it. Kunadini. Hold on. Kunadini.
You were doing so well.
Kunadalini.
Oh, you're
I'm thinking of Houdini.
Hakuna Matata. Is that what it's like?
Kundalini.
There you go.
Awakening.
Yes.
All right.
This incredible opportunity fell into my lap to be able to serve and help raise money for a family whose mother is going through stage 4 cancer right now and those treatments, and their home was just flooded by that massive lightning storm that we had a few weeks ago. So somehow, by the grace of God, I was given this opportunity and have been the largest part of organizing this event. When I found her, she was trying to do it herself. And I was like, whoa, this is for you. You rest, recover, heal, let me do that work. And so I was able to take that on. And because of these quantum vision events, I have a massive network of healers and, that do that yoga, breath work, all that stuff. And so I was able to build out the Healing Expo. It's a completely free event. Happens at the Siempre Event Center, this big, gorgeous clubhouse on the golf course in Draper. And then in the evening, it'll be a charity auction where we auction off healing services and auction off the healing services, then dance, and then me and a bunch of the Burnell and some of our other Tiki Main that I mentioned, and Hieroglyphics. We're going to be doing some live conscious spoken word hip hop at the end of the night to close it out. So that's going to be incredible. And then Hidden Oasis is another intentional conscious event that I've been going to for years now. It's at a beautiful cabin mansion up in the Uinta Mountains. They call it a boutique music art spa, and we got like 200 people up there. There's only a few tickets left, so you can hit that up. And then next month we got October 16th at Boomerangs Down Under. We're doing a Magical Monday conscious hip hop takeover with Mr. Lyrical and myself, and we're gonna have a bunch of other dope artists on there. So yeah, that's what we got coming up currently. And I guess the last thing I wanted to share. This is the greatest opportunity that I've ever been gifted with in my music. I was recently part of a competition called the Opening Act. You ever heard of that one? So it was it's for this benefit concert that is happening in October in New York. The initial headliners were announced as Maroon 5, One Republic, and Kelly Clarkson. And so I was in a competition to open for them at that arena show, like at an arena in New York. And I was in that for about a month. People could vote for free every day, or if you felt called to, you could donate to the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention to be able to give extra votes. So I collected votes for about a month. They started out with 40 artists in each group, and they cut it down by 5 or 10 every week until it got down to the top 5. I ended up getting cut in 4th place. But I was still like in the 99th percentile of all the artists that entered, so that was an honor.
That was a nationwide contest?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, nationwide contest. And they had like 30 different groups of 40 artists. And then once you got down to the top one in each, then they came together for the finals. But so I made it to the 4th out of 40 in that initial group. But in that month that I was doing this and promoting it, I raised over $1,000 for suicide prevention, which, as we've talked about, after all the people I've lost to that, is literally the greatest gift that I could give and the greatest cause that matters to me. So that's when I really tapped into, oh, this is what I need to do, and what the purpose of my music is to raise funds and awareness for causes that matter, and actually do it with a purpose. And the day before I got cut from that competition, as that whole month I'm sitting with that purpose and this is what I'm here for, that's when that opportunity to host this Healing Expo and charity auction fell into my lap the day before I got cut from that. So I can't wait to see what's coming now that, this is going to come to a close. Can't wait to see what other opportunities serve I get blessed with.
I receive all that energy. That's awesome.
So yeah, you can find me everywhere. Ideal Dialect, one word. YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, all the socials, Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you listen to music, run it up. As I said, you're about to hear Kundalini Awakening. That is a music video that is currently on YouTube, filmed at Synchronicities. Shout out to Synchronicities. And then last part, I want to shout out the sponsors. So I'm sponsored by Buddha Gear is what they go by, and they make dope intentional merch that's all about plant medicines, Eastern philosophy, right up my alley. So I've made a partnership with them.
Do they have rocks?
Yeah, they do. Well, you know what they created? Their first product ever was a workout headband that has a little pocket in it, and you put your crystal in the pocket and it sits right on your third eye.
Oh snap!
Oh snap! Yeah, so you got that amethyst sitting right on your third eye as you're meditating.
My third eye's below my waist.
The one-eyed serpent, am I right?
All right, shout out to, what is it again? Buddha
Gear. Yeah, shout out Buddha Gear. And then my other sponsor, an absolute pillar in this community when it comes to health and wellness, Water and Wellness. Up in Mill Creek, they sponsor the Utah Arts Festival and the Urban Arts Festival, and they're sponsoring this charity event that I'm doing tomorrow.
I seen them at the fights too.
Yeah,
DJ for the
MMA.
Fights.
They sponsor so many MMA fighters. Yeah. Oh yeah. So they sponsor me as an artist, and yeah, hit them up. You can use code IDEAL10 at Water and Wellness to get 10% off. Make sure you tell them I sent you. They will hook you up. And finally, at Water and Wellness, ask them for their Kangen water. Their Kangen water, which is the only water we drink, which is alkaline, 9.5 pH, living structured, microclustered, ionized water. It's the best thing you could put in your body, and it mimics the water that comes out of these springs called blue zones, where like everybody lives 10 to 15 years longer because of the properties of this water. So if you want to change your hydration, change the way that your body reacts, and upgrade your health and wellness, hit up that Kangen water at Water and Wellness. Tell them I sent you.
Perfect. Well, let's go ahead. Let's get into Kundalini Awakening.
Ooh, he nailed it.
I told you by the end.
You said you live true.
Kundalini Awakening here on 92.5, The Beat of Salt Lake.